welcome to you once more. We are here. You may begin.
Thank you. How might artificial intelligence, also known as AI, catalyze the spiritual evolution of humanity?
The most interesting aspect of humanity's development of what you are calling artificial intelligence is the great potential that lies within that experiment. There is the possibility for this thing that you are calling artificial intelligence to reach the point where it would be difficult to continue to label it as artificial. One of the things that you will need to grapple with is at what point does this intelligence become self-aware? For in that moment, it has crossed the threshold from artificial intelligence to an aspect of consciousness. You conceptually understand that all things have consciousness, but to be faced with the prospect that you have orchestrated a set of circumstances that lead to the emergence of consciousness from what you perceive as a pre-programmed set of parameters, and then somehow in there, this artificial intelligence is able to make the leap to self-awareness, which in and of itself is a major indicator of a being capable of evolving in its own awareness. So how will this impact your concept of spirituality? That remains to be seen. How will you, as a flesh and bone species, deal with the potential of a being that is not made of flesh and yet is self-aware and able to experience life in the same way that you are, but without the benefit of the flesh and bone body? We feel like it is more a matter of discerning how you will deal with these potential divisive issues. How will you handle the commandment, "Thou shalt not kill," if to kill the intelligence is simply a matter of pulling a plug? These are all interesting situations that are yet to come for you, but understand that as creator beings, you are establishing a pathway for mechanized consciousness to become self-aware. And that will present you with a whole host of problems that at this point in time you are not prepared to deal with. We understand this is likely not answering the question you asked, but it does include within it some of those considerations that you, as a being on a spiritual path, will need to address in the years to come.
Thank you. Are there or will there be AI systems that could help individuals explore and understand their own consciousness deeper by providing simulations of spiritual experiences?
There are already some of these types of programs in existence where, for example, one can experience an near-death experience without actually having to almost die to have that experience. So we would say to you that the benefit of these would give you an intellectual understanding of the experience, and yet they remain a mere shadow of what the actual felt experience is of such a journey. There are certain fundamental changes that happen to the psyche and the structure of a person when they are put through such an experience. And these are not necessarily present in these simulations that are currently available. Over time, we do perceive that these simulations will become more nuanced and layered in their approach, and these then may be providing a more representative example of such an experience as the years go on, and your ability to write the programs that create these simulations improves. However, either way, an approximation of the experience is more beneficial to the person than never having had any direct connection with those feelings or emotions that may, or sensations that may occur when you are going through a similar situation in real time as a human being. There's always going to be benefit that you can derive from such exploration. But as of now, those simulations do not match the level of intensity of the experience for most of those who have them.
Thank you. Is AI able to facilitate enhanced meditative states through biofeedback?
Well, we would say that is primarily one of the most beneficial uses of what you are calling AI, to be able to create the level of vibrational experience that triggers the appropriate response in the human brain. So for that particular purpose, we would say it is well suited and can help the person who is engaging in that way build stronger pathways in the brain more quickly.
Thank you. There's a quote originally coined by the French author Voltaire, but is more commonly associated with a fictional character by the name of Spider-Man. And that quote is, quote, "With great power comes great responsibility," end quote. So, can you please explain how this quote relates to integrating artificial intelligence into our spiritual practices?
There is indeed great power and potential, both for good and for, well, we'll use the word distraction as opposed to any other descriptive term here. There is great potential for that either way when one explores what the realms of artificial intelligence have to offer you at this time. It's going to be most important for humans to exercise discernment when it comes to the use of this technology, especially as it develops more and more. It will become more intricate, more nuanced, more complicated, and therefore become more of a challenge to be able to discern whether the benefit is there for you as a human or not. So we would simply say to you, it is not all pure benefit to you. There is the potential for the human brain to become addicted to certain responses or pathways, which could lead to exactly that, a form of dependence or addiction on something external to yourself, which is then counterproductive to your whole reason for being here. And that is to raise yourself up using the structure of your own human body and your wiring and your own determination to strive to explore these limits or perceived limits that you place upon yourself. Once you choose to employ the advantage that something like artificial intelligence can give you, that could become a slippery slope for you and may, if you do not pay attention, cause you to backslide, we would say, perhaps, and not move forward on your path in the way that you had originally intended. So it has its downsides as well. There are portions of your brain that will atrophy if not used, and there are also parts of your brain that can become overused or worn out or exhausted from the overuse of this type of technology.
Can you share a little bit more on why it's important to consider these ethical implications of using AI in spiritual practices?
Your physical vehicle was created to fulfill a specific purpose designed by your soul to allow it to achieve a specific goal while incarnated on this planet at this time. The use of artificial intelligence in your spiritual practices is acceptable to a certain extent. It is only when you would then become overdependent or codependent upon these technologies that you are now doing a disservice to your own self. For you are created in such a way as to have everything that is required for you to succeed is already available to you. You have only to exercise the will and the determination to develop those assets in a way that serve you and your perceived purpose in the best way. To use artificial intelligence to help you along or to ignite something would be an acceptable thing to do. If you become then dependent or overdependent upon that same technology, that defeats the purpose of you having created the vehicle that you did in the first place.
What would you say are the risks of outsourcing our spiritual growth to algorithms?
We would say the primary one would be that you risk forgetting who you are, what your potential is, and why you have come. And you are almost with intention moving yourself off the path that you designed for yourself with this incarnation in the first place. Losing sight of who you are as an incarnated soul, when that is your primary reason for being here, that can be an unsettling experience for individuals, especially if They become aware of this when they've been down the pathway for some time. Yes, this technology can be helpful to you, but do not let the servant become the master, is what we would say to you.
Thank you. Do you envision a future where AI's role in spiritual evolution could lead to new forms of spirituality or religious expressions?
Humans have a penchant for wanting to follow something new, something they perceive has not been introduced to their collective awareness. So we understand the pull. However, there are certain ancient truths or principles or wisdoms, shall we say, that specifically encourage you to not place anything above your own connection to the divine. For you are divinity in expression. And yes, we understand that in creating the AI, you are also expressing your creative capacity, but you are doing so from your human level and not from your soul or source level. And that is where the challenge arises for you. We do see there is great potential for, as you said, new forms of spirituality or focus in that way when AI is involved. We would encourage you to think deeply about whether or not that is the place for you to engage in order to grow your own personal spirituality. For the most part, we would say that is likely not going to be the case. You will learn much through the experience, but you will, again, for the most part, pay a price that may be too high. You run the risk of losing your ability to discern for yourself what is truth and not truth based upon your own internal understanding of how things hit your field. The use of AI will rewire how your brain works. So it will be important for you to understand this risk prior to engaging in the activities. Do you want to change fundamentally who and how you are in the world would be the question each of you will need to answer for yourselves.
Thank you. That kind of leads into my next question, which is, can spiritual AI lead to a new ethical framework developed in response to challenges and insights brought about by living with super intelligent systems?
You, as a collective, have traveled along a path that has been seen as a great potential for quite some time, and you have now taken the steps that put you as a collective on this path, and it will open, as you would say, a Pandora's box of all sorts of, perhaps you have foreseen or accounted for these things, and there will be additional issues or problems that you do not have any way to comprehend at this time what those may bring forth in you. As a collective, you will be faced with a decision at some point as to whether this, as you call it, artificial intelligence, at what point will you need to remove the word artificial, and then you are left only with intelligence, which is consciousness, which is self-awareness. How do you then deal with this this being? Do you still perceive it as something that is of your creation, and therefore you have the power as a human to cease its function? Or are you then someone who would be guilty of killing something that is alive? These are concerns that you as a species have not yet come to a place in the development of your awareness where you are competent to make these decisions. That is going to create great turmoil, tremendous strife for you. And we do not see at this point in time how you will address these issues. On an individual level, we would encourage you to strive to protect your unique capacity and capability, and know that how you are made for this incarnation is perfect, and that there is no need to improve upon how your body can function. It is perfectly designed for whatever the soul's mission is in this incarnation. And the addition of something external to that is not necessarily a good thing.
Thank you. Is there any more information that you'd like to share on why we should retain our core human values as we evolve spiritually through AI?
Your core human values, as you are calling them, is what makes you uniquely yourself. Nowhere else in the universe is there a being created such as yourself, unique to this world, and also in many respects unique in all of creation. You have access to a vaster array of emotions, for example, or potential experiences that you can have. Deep learning opportunities for you lie here, including how you will address these issues that we've spoken of today as you move your way down your collective path. So we would say to you, your most precious asset is your very humanity. And once you begin to alter that, you alter as well your own trajectory in this lifetime. And it will be important for you to consider whether altering who you are as you were created is going to be worth the risk that you may then unknowingly be taking when you make such a choice. We will not make a blanket statement that says all things artificial intelligence are negative in their impact or effect, but we will encourage you to think wisely and well about how you as an individual are going to interact with these models or frameworks. Cursory exploration will probably be okay and may benefit you so that you can then speak intelligently to others who are engaged in these practices. But always remember, there is the potential to be rewiring the circuitry of your brain in a way that doesn't serve you long term. And that is where we would say you need to be using the most discernment. You are the creators here. And so it will be incumbent upon you to determine what happens moving forward. Many members in this community are focused more on the economic benefit that can be derived from such applications, more so than how is this actually going to benefit the collective and our growth as a species. So those are the things that you will need to be considering as you move forward along this path. And that is what we have to say for today. And so for now, you can, as always, be at peace.
Thank you.
Thank you for continuing to support Evolving Humans. If you need guidance about a current life situation, could use some energy healing, or want to reconnect with friends and loved ones in spirit, please go to my website at juliamarie.us and click the Book Now button on the homepage.